Hey everybody, welcome back to Bow Hunting Pigs Clean Cook Part 2. For those of you that hadn't seen Part 1, I would recommend go ahead and hitting the pause button. Go ahead and go down below, check that video out. It'll explain everything up to this point, and you'll get caught up. Moving forward, you'll kind of know what's going on. You know, I get a lot of questions and comments on this channel. One of the main questions is, what do you do with all the pigs that you kill? Because obviously I shoot quite a few. And so this video hopefully will explain that a little more in detail. For the most part, I usually just gut them and bring them in whole, especially if I'm going to be bringing them into the processor to have sausage made. But a lot of times, because I do hunt here in Texas and Oklahoma, mainly for pigs in the summertime, it gets extremely hot, and field stripping them is just the fastest, most efficient way to do it. It keeps the meat from spoiling in this heat, and that is a process that I've really been wanting to bring to you guys and show y'all how that's done. I just hadn't had a chance to, because most of the time when I'm shooting pigs, I recover them in the dark. This last one, I was fortunate enough to recover it in the daytime, and really allowed me to film the process and show that. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little quick flashback. I'm going to show a little hunt recap, and then I'm going to lead into the field stripping process. So check that out, and then I will meet you guys back here before we actually get into the cooking, and I will see you here shortly. Okay, I'm going to try to self-film this the best I can and show you how I field strip these pigs. Now, I keep a couple sharp knives in my bag. Also, I keep a really large Ziploc. Inside that, I keep a black trash bag to lay the meat on whenever I'm cleaning it. I've got some really big, extra large Ziploc bags that actually have a carry handle. I always keep one of those to put the meat in. And then I keep plastic gloves or rubber gloves, as well as some wet wipes to clean up afterwards. But I keep that in my bag at all times, because whenever I shoot these pigs, a lot of times what I don't show you guys is me stripping them in the field. And I usually don't have enough daylight to do so, but I'm going to try to get it done before the sun goes down here, and hopefully I can have enough light to show you guys the process. So I want to go ahead and get started. You always want to wear gloves. Pigs have been known to carry diseases that are transferable to humans, so it's always a good idea to protect yourself. First thing I like to do is make a slit all the way down the back. Since I'm not going to be keeping the front shoulders, I don't care to cut up. I'll just cut up as high as I can. And I'm going to cut down the side on this side. I'm going to cut down the side on this side. I'm going to do the same across the back. On each side. Now basically what I've done is I've just made a letter I. And then I'm just going to peel this skin back. And open her up like the bay doors on the old space shuttle. From there, you'll feel the backbone. You just want to work your way down the backbone. I'm getting wore out by mosquitoes right now. And just work that back strap away from the spine. Make your incision down the back strap there. You'll see where that muscle connects. Sorry guys, I'm doing this pretty quick because the mosquitoes are absolutely horrible right now. They are wearing me out. Just pull. And there's one back strap done. I'll lay that on my plastic and go ahead and start the other side. I'm gonna go ahead and trim this fat off while I've got her out here. By doing that, you can see that silver skin of that back strap. And there's the other one. And that's really all there is to taking the back straps out. Now the hindquarters, if you want to keep those, you just make a cut around the leg. I'll usually bring it on down. Once again, this is a rush job, I'm sorry, but it's never a real good idea to rush when you got a sharp knife in your hand, but like I said, I'm getting absolutely wore out by mosquitoes right now, so I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible. Not to mention I'm losing light. All right, from here I'm going to go ahead and roll her over.
All right, from here you want to find that hip bone. And that ball socket right there. So cut around the hip, through the ball, and there's a quarter right there. That's your back ham. I'll go ahead and cut this back leg off, and that's it. I'll flip her over, I'll do the other side, and I've got both my hams, both back straps, and that is the best choice cuts for this pig. As you can see, that looks really good. So I'm gonna get that in my bag, get it on ice, get the other one done, and get out of here.
Okay, hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully it was beneficial. You learned something. It's very, very quick. Once you do it a few times, you'll get really proficient at it, and it just makes cleaning the pigs a lot easier just to do it in the field. So the recipe I'm fixing to show you is for carnitas. Now, as a disclaimer, I will say that this is not my recipe. I did not come up with this. I found this online about 2 to 3 years ago, but since then I've made some tweaks to it, and it is one of my absolute all-time favorite recipes for these wild hogs. Number one, it's extremely easy to make. The prep time is really short. The cook time is a little long because you got to let it slow cook, but the prepping is really easy. Also, it's great for parties because it makes such a big batch. And because of that, it also freezes really well, so you're able to enjoy it multiple days. So hopefully you enjoy this. Let me know in the comments below if you like it. If you try this recipe out, I would love to hear about it. And like I said, just let me know. Also subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content. I'm probably not going to be doing a lot of cooking videos because it's not my specialty. Killing these pigs is really what I enjoy. And so you might not see a whole lot of cooking videos off this channel, but this is one that I hope you enjoy. And be sure to hit the subscribe and let me know. Okay, so here we are with our back ham actually in the sink. As you can see, it just came from the field. One thing I do like to do is debone this. And basically what you're going to do is find the hip joint, take your good sharp knife, and just follow that hip joint all the way down through the leg. And just make an incision. You can feel the bone here. It doesn't have to be neat for what we're actually going to do with this recipe. Feel for the bone, just cut around it, and just follow that leg bone all the way down to the knee joint. Alright, now there we have our leg bone. As you can see, there's a little bit more of some trimmings here that I'll trim off. But for this particular recipe, I'm mainly just going to be using the top or larger portion of this ham. As you notice, wild pigs do not have a lot of fat content. This one's pretty lean. Some of them I have killed in the past are a little fatter than some of the others, but as you can see, it's pretty lean. I like to keep as much fat on there as I can. That keeps the moisture content up, as well as it just adds to the flavor. But you can trim that fat off if you like. It's whatever you prefer. Okay, as you can see, I've got it trimmed away from the leg bone now, and what I'm left with is just a big, nice chunk of hind quarter. I want to make sure that you go over one good time, make sure there's not any hair, any grass, any dirt, debris, anything that you don't plan to ingest. It looks like we're pretty clean there. And so we'll move on over to the seasoning stage. I'm going to show you exactly what ingredients you're going to need for this recipe. And then I'll show you the cooking process. Okay, a few utensils you're going to need before you get started is going to be a sharp knife, a small to medium sized crock pot, some shredding forks. If you don't have these, standard forks work just fine, and 2 aluminum pans. One thing you're also going to need towards the end is going to be a hot skillet or a hot frying pan to finish it up. Okay, I have broken the ingredients up into 2 parts. Now, I will list the amount of each ingredient down in the description below, but the 2 parts are going to be, part 1 is the rub for the meat, and part 2 is what you add to the crock pot as you slow cook. There's also a 3rd part at the end of some condiments that you may want to add, but you can use whatever you like there. Okay, this first batch of ingredients here is going to be for our rub. So for that, you're going to need 1 shot of TX whiskey, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 2.5 teaspoons of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of pepper, 1 tablespoon of ground cumin, and 1 tablespoon of dried oregano. Once we add the meat to the crock pot, these ingredients are going to be also what you'll throw in. You're going to need 1 cup of regular orange juice, 1 large chopped onion, 4 cloves of minced garlic, and 3 finely diced jalapenos. Okay, the very first thing we want to do is take our TX whiskey and shoot it. Oh, man, that's good. Next, you want to take your salt and pepper, mix it up, and just pour it over your meat here and just give it a nice, good rub. Just sprinkle that salt and pepper all over like that, rub it down, rub that into that meat. Make sure you coat every little bit all up underneath. And just kind of get it as evenly distributed as you can. Next, we're going to take our olive oil in our little dish, and we're going to add our ground cumin as well as our ground oregano, and we're going to stir it to create a really nice paste. Alright, now that we got that mixed up into a nice little paste here, we're just going to rub this over the meat like we did the salt and pepper, and just give it a good coating. You want to make sure to massage it all up inside the meat there, and make sure you put plenty on the bottom side and just work that into the meat. Okay, from here you want to go ahead and set your meat down into your crock pot. And once again, make sure you set it down there with the fat cap up. From here you're going to add your orange juice. You're also going to add your jalapeno and your garlic. Make sure you get it all in there. As well as your chopped onion. Alright, now don't worry about stirring it up. I kind of like to mix it up just a little bit, but it's all going to sit there and slow cook. Also, you want to let it cook for 10 hours, but don't worry about mixing it up. I just kind of like to spread it around a little bit. From here, you're going to let it slow cook for 10 hours, and all this will just kind of condense and just creates a really good broth, really good flavoring. Okay, from here we're going to go ahead and replace our lid. We're going to go ahead and let this slow cook for 10 hours, and when it's done, it's just going to be falling apart. So fast forward 10 hours now. Our meat is completely cooked. I'm going to go ahead and take these meat forks and attempt to pull this out. Usually at this point, it usually just falls apart. You got to be real careful when you take it out. But transfer that over into your full pan. And you can also do this with regular forks, but these meat forks make it quick. And you want to just shred this meat up into just a fine shredded meat. As you can see, it's extremely tender. It takes zero effort to do this. Keep that onion and jalapeno in this meat. And we're also going to keep this juice at the end for when we're starting to fry it up in the pan. So you kind of get the idea of shredding this meat. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward till it's complete, and then we'll move on to the next process. All right, we've got it pretty much done. I've got one little piece left in there in the pot. I'm going to go ahead and grab it. And go ahead and get it shredded up as well. Man, it smells wonderful. Okay, let's get our heat going. We've taken all of our meat out, we've shredded it. And then we also have taken some of the juice out of the crock pot. From here we're going to add a little bit of olive oil to our pan. Let that heat up a little bit. These non-stick pans, they work okay. I would highly recommend using an iron skillet. If you've got a lot of hot oil, an iron skillet works really, really well. We're going to let this heat up a little bit, and then we're going to take our meat, throw in there with a good layer, add a little bit of juice to it to kind of get that browning. Oh man, hear that sizzle. Just take enough there to kind of get good and brown. Making a mess. That's alright, you ain't cooking if you ain't making a mess. Take a little bit of that juice from the crock pot. I'm just going to let that simmer until all that juice evaporates, and it'll get a good crisp layer on the bottom side. Then you're going to flip it over, crisp the other side, and then throw it in your other pan. Okay, while we're waiting on our meat to brown up over there, the last of it, I'm going to go ahead and make some slaw for these. I like to use this Habanero ranch from Tessemae. I get this at Kroger's. And basically, I just use a classic slaw. It's a Dole classic slaw. You just add some of that to a bowl. Take some of your Habanero ranch dressing. Pour a little bit of that in there. And then just give it a good mixing. And that's pretty much it. That'll make a really good topping for our tacos. That with the pico, man. All right, well, we're just about done with the last of our meat. Looks like it's pretty crisp on one side. Go ahead and turn our heat off. I've got some little Mission street taco tortillas. I like to always heat my tortillas up and make them a little soft. Flip them over. Just enough to soften them up. Okay, so now we're all done. We're going to add a little bit of meat. Oh man, that looks really, really good. Going to add a little bit of our juice that has left over. It's kind of rendered down. As you notice, there's a lot of onion and a lot of cooked jalapeno. This is just some of the juice left over from rendering down and slow cooking the carnitas for the last 10 hours. And then what I like to do is take a little bit of this slaw there with that habanero ranch. Add a little bit of our fresh pico. Oh man, this looks so good. And that's pretty much it. From there, I mean, obviously you can have any kind of side you like, but that is pretty much how I cook the carnitas and how I cook this wild hog. All right, well, the finished result. Let's see how it tastes. Oh man, I promise you, once you try this recipe, you will never ever leave a pig in the field to waste ever again. It is absolutely excellent. Like I said, it'll feed a large crowd. It's very, very easy to cook. It freezes well, so you'll have plenty of leftovers. And it is excellent. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. This is my first cooking video, so it's a little bit different for me, but hopefully, like I said, you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe, and you guys hopefully will see me again on my next hunt. Thanks for watching.